Good day. I'll be showing you how to use Visual Studio Code and a few Python packages to create a simple project. We'll be using the Iris classifier project as an example. So yeah, let's get started. Now, the first and the most important thing is to know how to navigate your Windows system or your Mac system. You must know how to create files and folders. So usually on a Windows, I'm going to create a simple folder, and you can do that by going to any location on your computer. I'll be doing it on the desktop. You do a right click and you click folder for the new folder. And then let's name our folder Iris classifier. Okay, Iris classifier, like that. Now that we have our folder, the second important thing is to open our Visual Studio Code. If you don't have Visual Studio Code installed or VS Code, you have to look at my other video. So make sure you have it installed. Now there are a couple of ways of opening a folder in VS Code. The most basic one is to go to your Windows search. You type VS Code or just VS, then you see this Visual Studio Code. You have to open it. Or you click on that open link. Now, once it's open, here you can see that I clicked twice. Let's get rid of one of the VS Code instances. Once it's open, you see something like this. By default, if you've never used VS Code, you just see these options to open a file, to open a folder and stuff. So you have to head on to File, Open Folder, and then you navigate to the folder you want to open. Our folder is on the desktop. I'm going to go to the desktop, and it's called Iris Classifier. Select the folder. This is the first way to open a folder in VS Code. Now, as you can see, your VS Code is made up of different sections. We have our sidebar with the Explorer. This is where you can see your files and folders. And we have the tab bar where you see all the files you'll be editing. All right, that's one way of opening your folder in VS Code. I'm going to show you another way. So let's quickly close this. We're back at our folder. You can actually do a right click on the folder. Do a right click. And then on the context menu, if you've installed your VS Code in such a way that you activate the feature, you might find Open with VS Code here. So I haven't done that, but I'm going to show you another way. So I'm going to open this folder in Terminal. Click on Terminal. This will open Windows PowerShell and sometimes Command Prompt. And all you need to do is to type code and dot, code and full stop. And then you press Enter. And then when you do that, VS Code will be opened. And the VS Code will open your folder, right? So you can see we're in the Iris classifier folder. All right, let's get rid of this welcome page. Now that your folder is open in VS Code, there are a couple of things we need. According to the instructions that I sent you, you need to create the right directory structure. You need to create a couple of folders and files that you're going to work with. So when you're in VS Code, if you focus on the Explorer section, you see these tiny icons. You can click on this one to create a new file, click on that one to create a new folder. But I prefer just doing the old right-click way. So if you come on the Explorer section, the blank section, you do a right-click, you get a context menu again with a couple of options. So let's create a new folder. I'll call this folder Notebooks for my notebooks. And then click away, and then a new folder. I call it SRC. So that is how you create folders in VS Code. You could have done it in Windows, but it's usually best to do it in VS Code once you have your project open. So we also need to create a couple of files. We'll create two files. The first file is going to be requirements.txt, and we'll also create another file. Just click away, do a right click, new file, readme.md, so markup file. So we have two files. Let's create another one inside the source folder. SRC means source. You do a right click, the new file. As you can see, it's inside source. We call it train.py. So we have a couple of files, and the files are currently empty. As you can see, I'm clicking on them, nothing is happening. And I'll explain the significance of all these files. Let's start with the README file. The README file is where you put your project description and anything that you want uh, maybe other developers to see about your project, or even users. You can think of it as the documentation of your project. For example, we can put our project title here, and we can also put our instructions, our project instructions. All right, so I'm not going to focus on much on that. Let's move on to requirements.txt. The requirements.txt file is where you put all the libraries required for the project. This may be libraries. For example, you might need joblib for serving a model. So I'll just put joblib here. And you might need pandas. You might need scikit-learn and a lot of other libraries. So we'll just use these for the time being, right? And I have provided you with a list of all the libraries required for the Iris project. Now, we don't want to use any auto-completion, so just backspace, or you can simply ignore it, right? Another thing you must understand is that when you create a file, by default, there won't be a white dot, but as soon as you start editing the file, like what we've done, you see the white dot there. Even on README, we have that white dot. So the white dot simply means that your file has not been saved, and you need to save your file before doing anything else. So there are two ways to save the file. You can head on to the left section, click on File, and then Save. Or you can use the shortcut, which is Control S. On a Mac, it will be Command. Right. So there are two ways. Make sure you always save your files before moving on to the next step to ensure that you don't get any errors. And then I have created train.py. This is where you write your Python code. Let's just write a simple Python code, print statement, print. Hello world. And then, as you can see, our file is not saved again. So to save the file, we need Control S, or you can go right here and click on save. Now that we have our files, there is one important thing we need to do. When you want to run Python files in VS Code, you can use an extension from VS Code, or you can also use the terminal. In this video, we'll focus on the terminal, right? So let's open up our terminal in VS Code so that we can run our commands. Remember, you can always open your Windows terminal and it will work the same way, but for our project's sake, you need to do it in VS Code. Now, on the menu bar, right at the top section of our VS Code, you can see a couple of options with File, Edit, Selection, Go, Run, Terminal. You want to click on Terminal, right? Sometimes if your screen is small, if you're using a small laptop, let's close this. If you're using a small laptop or your screen is small or your window is resized like what I've done, the terminal section might not be visible. So you have to go on and click on those three dots. Then you see the terminal. Let's go back to full screen. Click on terminal and new terminal. As you can see, this is our terminal and it's currently in our folder. How do we know that? We have iris classifier there as part of the path in the terminal, and on the Explorer we have iris classifier. So we are confident that our terminal is opened in our working folder, or project folder. Now, there are a couple of things that we need to do once we open our terminal. The first thing, the most important in data science and AI, or just basic Python development, is to create a virtual environment. A virtual environment is like a separate section or a reserved space in your PC for the project's dependencies. Now, what do I mean? When you create your projects, most of the times you need to install libraries that are pre-made. So a virtual environment will ensure that we save dependencies or libraries needed for this particular project. This will help you because as you create more and more projects, we don't want any conflicts in our dependencies. So before you install any dependencies, make sure you create a virtual environment and you activate it. So this is how you create a virtual environment. Python -m venv ve and v. So the last argument there is a virtual environment. It can be anything, but I prefer venv. It's virtual environment. Some people use .venv. Some people just use env. It's really up to you. So let's stick with venv for now. And I want you to pay attention to the left-hand section. Look at all the files and folders we have. Currently, we have 2 folders and 2 files. And then, when I press enter in our terminal, boom, you can see something has happened. A new folder has been created, and the folder's name is venv. This is our virtual environment folder. If you open it, you can see the scripts and the libraries there. But you don't need to touch it. Just close it like that. Now, the next thing we want to do is to activate our virtual environment. So, to activate your virtual environment, you need to target the folder, and the folder is called VENV. That's the name of the folder. And then you do a backslash and scripts. And then backslash and activate. And then the moment you press enter, you would have activated your virtual environment. Can you see how we've moved from just the normal path to a VENV? The fact that you have brackets before your path means that whatever you do will affect your virtual environment. If we install anything, it's not going to go to our PC, like the global setup. It's going to go into this virtual environment. And if we install anything, be it a Python version, we're going to get it here. All right. So remember, you don't need to modify anything in VENV. Now, your virtual environment is actually active, as you can see. The next thing we want to do is to install the requirements. If we click on the requirements file, you can see we have a couple of libraries there. We have joblib, pandas, scikit-learn. All you just need to do to install libraries in your virtual environment is to target the requirements file. And if you don't have a virtual requirements file, you can literally install the libraries one at a time. So let me delete joblib so that I can show you how to do that. Then we save. Suppose I don't have the libraries in my requirements text. You can do pip install and then the name of the library. I want us to install the joblib library, so pip install joblib. Then we press enter. So the moment you do that, pip, it's like a Python dependency manager, it's going to install the libraries. It will check on the internet and it will install the packages, as you can see there. If you want to upgrade pip, you can also type in the given command. Now, most of the times you'll be having a requirements text file. So, for us to install the libraries that are listed in our requirements file, we have to target it. So, again, we're in our terminal section. We can't delete, we can't modify anything there. What you can do is maybe press enter. If you feel like it's too crowded for you, then that's fine. Then you type your command. If you want to clear everything, you can type CLS like that and then press enter. Then you get a fresh terminal. I know that most students get distracted if they have a lot of things going on. All right, so we have installed our joblib. Now we need to target our requirements.txt to install the rest of the libraries. So you're going to type requirements or pip install -r, and then the name of the file usually is called requirements.txt. So this is just telling pip to go in our directory and look for a file called requirements.txt and then install all the packages listed in it. So make sure you type in your packages one at a time. They must be in a list. All right. Now we're done typing our command. We have to press enter and everything will be installed. As you can see, we're installing all the libraries. Some libraries are actually smaller than others, and other libraries will take a while to install. And take note, as we were trying to install pandas, there are other dependencies that were installed. For example, NumPy was installed, Six was installed, scikit-learn was also installed, so that everything, because all these libraries work together. So don't worry when you see such messages, just wait until it's done installing. So when you've installed everything, now you can close your requirements text, you can close your README. Let's clear this CLS, and then we can try and run our Python code. Now, how do you run the Python code? There are a couple of ways, but I need you to use the terminal. So you go to your terminal, preferably command prompt. If you don't have CMD, if you have PowerShell there, just click on the down arrow, choose command prompt. I've made it the default, and then you get it, command prompt, terminal. And if you have terminal you don't need, you can go to the right section, delete everything, go to the terminal, new terminal, and then you still get your command prompt or PowerShell. All right, so we have our command prompt open, terminal within VS Code. Now we want to run the file. So whenever you want to run a Python file, you have to type Python. It's like instructing the Python that's globally installed in your PC. And then you mention the name of the file. In our case, the file is train.py, but we have a problem. Train.py is not at the root of the folder. So let's hit enter to get the error. So you get such kind of errors. No such file or directory. It simply means that you are instructing me to run a file that doesn't exist. And that's true. At the root of our directory, we don't have train.py. Instead, train.py is inside the source folder. So we have to target the source folder. So the correct command will be Python train src. We have to specify the folder, and then / train.py. Now, the moment we do that, you can see hello world, which is what we've printed here. So this is what you need to do when you're running your Python code. And most of the time, it's going to work perfectly fine. So stick to the command line. However, if you want to install to run Python by clicking on the top right corner, run Python file, you can also do so. So you just click on this play button and it's going to run your Python file. As you can see, still get the same result. So this is what you must understand regarding creating files and folders and running Python code in VS Code. Now, as part of the instructions, you are supposed to copy all the code that is in your notebook to train.py. And then you're supposed to research how to serve the confusion matrix and how to serve the trained model. So I believe you can take it from there. A little bit of research will make you succeed. Bye.